Hello, I'm Alan Matthews from Classical Guitar Shed, and in this video we're going to be talking about the 4-bar phrase formula, what it is, how you can recognize it in your music, why it is important to you, and how you can use it to make everything you play much more beautiful. In just a second. If you enjoy this, please do subscribe to this channel. So to begin with, let's talk about a piece of music, to just jump right into it. This is Beethoven's Ode to Joy. You know you recognize it, right? Just like you've always heard it. Well, once we pick up a piece of music, how do we make sense of it? What's going on? That's the big question. One of the things that we can do is look at how long are the phrases. Of course, we want to make the entire piece into one long thing, but it's also just like a paragraph is made up of sentences, a story is made up of paragraphs, paragraphs made up of sentences. The question is, in this analogy, what are the sentences? And that would be here, each line or 4-bar phrase. So looking at this, we have da 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 da. That's a thing, right? It's like a question, and then we have an answer. Da 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 da. Finished. It's in these 4-bar groupings, and you'll find this 4-bar tendency in Western music everywhere, from Ray Charles and Conway Twitty to Bach, Beethoven, Brahms to Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift. Everywhere you look, you will find 4-bar phrases. It's not all the time, but it's enough of the time that if I was to wager, then I would just place a bet before even hearing a song that it was organized into 4-bar phrases. So knowing that, then we can use that, look at the function of each bar, look at how that works as a structure, and then that can influence the way that we choose our phrasing. Do we get loud or soft, or what should I accent, what should I not accent? All these things, where should I slow down, where should I not slow down? All of these things can be influenced by your knowledge of how the 4-bar phrase works. And so that's why I'm calling it the 4-bar phrase formula, because it works enough of the time that we can formalize it. So let's take a look. Here's the first line. Numbering these bars, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So with the first layer that we can think about in a 4-bar phrase is strong bars and weak bars. And this is how they lay out. Strong, weak, strong, weak. We can also think of a wave coming in. We have strong, boom, and then it ebbs, and then it flows, and then it ebbs. Strong, weak, strong, weak. Within this, the one beat is the strongest. The one bar is the strongest. Boom. That's the number 1 right there. The second strongest beat is this one, the third beat, the other strong beat. It's not as strong as the first one, but it's stronger than the second and fourth. So those, if we were going to be tapping our foot to a big beat, this is what it would be. Then, more than likely, it depends on the tune, but chances are these two will be equally about the same. So 3 and 3, or depending on the particular phrasing of whatever it is, where it is in the song, it could be either way. It could be that this is stronger than that one, or that one's stronger than that one, either one. But the main thing is that the first bar is the strong bar, and especially the first note of the strong bar, or the first statement. The third bar is the next strongest, and then the other two are less so. Incidentally, this is exactly the same within a measure as well. If you look at just one measure of music, it's kind of the same thing. This is the strongest beat, this is the second strongest beat, and then these are the upbeats. And so they are, those are little parentheses. Those are the next strongest within that. So it you can scale this up to larger and smaller structures. But looking at this then, so that's one layer. The next layer is to know how these function within a phrase. Typically, number 1, that's the arrival. It arrives, the stuff that's come before that, or else like here, it's the very beginning. It's not the beginning of the full symphonic movement, but it's the beginning of the theme of the movement. It's the downbeat, boom, and that's the very beginning. Dun, 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 dun. Then we have a repose. Pull it back. Dun, And this is going to be like winding the spring to get us through to the rest of the measure and on to the next phrase. So downbeat, down, repose, 2, 3, 4, upbeat, second one, and then I like to call it the kicker, boom, which gets us to the next downbeat. So listening to this, so downbeat, strong, back off. Incidentally, this is, I typically say, don't accent the high note. This placement of there also emphasizes that. Downbeat, repose, strong, and then here, this is getting us to the purpose of the kicker bar is to drive us forward to the next downbeat. We don't want to stop here unless it's the big, like the end of a larger 16 or 32 bar phrase. But so we have this. Repose, back, strong. And so what I like to do with the kicker bar is to think of this bar as, it's getting us to the next downbeat, which means its purpose is to go over the bar line over here. Now, oftentimes you will see that this ends in a long note, as this one does right here, right? Well, this long note makes it seem like this would be a great place to just slow down, right? And settle, boom. But we don't want to stop. Just because it's a long note doesn't mean we get to go out for pizza. We don't want to die here because we're doing this 4 times in the matter of this 16 bar thing. So in a lot of pieces, we'll see this, and there might be a repeat sign right there or a double bar or something, and it feels like, well, because it's the end, I should slow down and make it something. Don't do it. The purpose of that bar is to get us forward, so we want to keep it moving across that bar line. This is a transition between phrases thing. Keep it moving unless it's the big ending, right? The big moment. So in the 4th bar, think of that as moving forward to the next one. In other words, don't relax, don't let up your guard. Drive the energy forward. So this is the 4-bar formula. Downbeat, repose, upbeat, kicker. So you can put this into just about any 4-bar thing and it's going to work. You can also scale it up. Look at it in terms of 8 bars and then the first 2 bars and then the next 2 bars, and then you can kind of think of it in that way. Using this to make your phrasing thing, we've just talked about one, which is don't slow down in the kicker bar. Another thing that we can do is don't get loud in the repose bar. We don't want to accent to this. We don't want to start small here and then crescendo up to that because it's a weak bar. We don't want to move towards the weak bar. 9 times out of 10, we don't want to. I mean, they're depending on the writing, but usually not. So we don't want to go ta, 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 ta. Chances are that's not going to be the best bet because we're moving into a weak bar. Instead, boom, 2, 3, and then repose, 2, 3, and then move it forward. And typically, 9 times out of 10, that will move the music forward in the most logical way in the ear to listening. All this said, rules are meant to be broken. So if you find a spot that you just have to pour it on the juice in the 2nd bar, then by all means do it. But as a matter of course, it's just good to know that the 2nd bar is a weak bar. So I hope you will experiment with this formula in your own playing. Find something that you already play and just work it out. Look at what bars are what and think about how you can use that to bring a different perspective to the music that you're playing. Use it with your dynamics, your swells and fades. Use it with where you slow down or not slow down, all of these things. So, hope you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe to this channel. Downbeat, repose, upbeat, kicker. That's your formula. See you soon. Bye-bye.